Hello, this is Liv and Cam for Scandalous Sundays. We are two women talking about all of the things that everybody is curious about, but nobody wants to talk about. And so we have our coffee and we're ready to talk all things scandalous.
Yeah, I think we're talking about getting to know our bodies because I definitely don't know a lot about anatomy.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, like even being as a woman and knowing where like certain parts are, I don't know. I don't know a lot. I don't
Yeah.
pay attention to health class, that good old Texas health class.
So thorough. No, but I mean, like, that's the thing that, for those who don't know, I am a doctor in physical therapy specializing in the pelvic floor. And I feel like even as I was going through my education, like, I was learning about the female body. And the majority of the women that I work with have no idea what the parts of our body is, and then you add in like men, and men have absolutely no idea, no clue
Right, exactly.
what's on there.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, like even the biggest one that tends to get talked about a little bit more is like everybody calls like the pelvic floor area like the vagina, but the vagina is actually just the inside part. We all forget that the outside part is actually the vulva. So I feel like that's one of the big ones that like, yeah, nobody knows about. It's just like vagina, pussy, yoni, like all of these random names.
Yeah.
Whereas like actually there's the vulva, there's like the labia, which is the lips. There's like we even just call it the wrong names.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't even really think I didn't know anything. And then I don't know if you ever seen that show the Goop Lab. Um,
Oh, it's the Gwyneth Paltrow one, right?
yeah, and they were talking about that doctor who like kind of taught people about their vaginas and everything like that. And they really did like kind of that was probably the most in depth I've ever really heard any of it really.
Yeah.
And
Which
from a TV episode,
yeah.
not my health class in 7th grade. No.
Which is crazy to think about because I feel like we all kind of know what like the male body is, right? Like, like testicles and like, it's just we know the different parts of a male's body and we generally know how like their genitals work, but I feel like there's a lot of misinformation about like the female body. But
Yeah, there's more parts to it and it's probably after a couple parts you're like, oh, I'm tired. I don't want to learn anymore.
well, the funny thing is it's like the female genitals are like pretty much exactly the same as male genitals. It's just that like some of the parts that you see on the outside of a male are within the female. But like we have essentially like a penis as well. It's just that it's internal and like that's the clitoris. It's not this tiny little knob that we think it is. It's actually like a wishbone that kind of comes down into like your lips, which is like why there's like a ton of like fun nerve endings along your lips. But like your clit also gets aroused and erect and hard, just like a penis does. It's just that like a lot of it is happening internally, so you don't notice it as much.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's fun. And it's actually cool because I'm trying to remember what like the different nerve endings are, but like the clitoris is like significantly more sensitive than the penis. Like we have way more nerve endings, which means we like have the opportunity for way more pleasure than like men do with their dicks, essentially.
I didn't even know. Yeah, I thought it was even about the clitoris being wishbone, no idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
No, yeah, nobody tells women this stuff. Which is sad because like that's so much opportunity to like have so much fun and pleasure with it. Because if you know that it's a wishbone, you can like come along those ends and feel pleasure. If you know that it gets erect and hard with arousal, like that's where the elusive G-spot comes in, because when you're aroused, everything gets erect and hard, and it's a lot easier to find that G-spot. So we like miss out on a lot of fun pleasure because nobody actually tells women, you know, this is how your body works.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, you would know yourself a little bit more, know what you like a little bit more if you knew the parts of your body.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even just given permission to explore your body. Because I feel like women don't, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like men, you know, it's normal to like touch their, you know, like touch their parts as they're growing up. You're like, oh yeah, it's just like a dude like adjusting himself, you know? But then like women, I feel like it's really taboo for like girls to like touch and explore their parts of their bodies.
I even think, yeah, even like if you're talking about that, just watching like TV shows and stuff like that, it's like, yeah, it's given, like a guy's gonna do it, but I feel like it's always accidental when a girl is like touching herself, or you know what I mean? Like it's always like they accidentally find out it feels good and then they start doing it, but nobody ever told them, or it was not normalized. Right?
Yeah. Well, even like, I mean, let's talk about like porn magazines, right? Or like Playboy magazines. Like it's just assumed that like a guy will have like a Playboy magazine underneath his like mattress growing up. Whereas like chicks don't really get any of that, you know?
Right.
Growing up, we had like the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC posters up on our walls.
Right.
That's about as much as I got.
That's true. But yeah, you didn't even have to hide those under the bed. It wasn't like there was nothing dirty, really.
Yeah. Just like a boy band.
That's I
feel like
I had
my age when I'm like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC.
I had Backstreet Boys, I had Little Bow Wow, I had like B2K, like if any of people know that, like those are my little boy bands.
Yeah. I had I was telling Quinn the other day, I was like, I had Marky Mark up on like, was like one of the first ones.
Marky Mark? Oh God. You're hating yourself.
So bad.
That's hilarious.
I'm old. But yeah, it is like there's like shame around like female masturbation and like just exploring your body. So like, how are you supposed to get to know your body if like it's shameful to just like touch it and figure it out?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I guess, you know, I remember like in the 7th grade, a health class or whatever. Yeah, I don't remember learning about those parts. Maybe we did. I think we did a little bit, but then even still, like it wasn't in like a way of like, oh, this makes pleasure. This doesn't make, you know, this isn't pleasurable. You definitely don't learn that. I mean, I guess you kind of learn it in more of like a objective way, which you're in 7th grade, so that's kind of understandable. But I remember my health teacher said something that like stuck with me, and it was more horrifying than anything. But it was just like, she was like, I don't care how big his thing is, it's not getting past the cervix, which I didn't even really know what a cervix was.
Right, like if you don't know what that is, you're like, that sounds pretty scary.
Yeah, so we were definitely learning about it, but I was still kind of like very confused on where the cervix was. I don't even think I remember that, but then I don't even think I really know what the cervix was until like I got my IUD. And you know, and that's when you have to, you know, you put the IUD in your cervix or whatever, but
yeah. I'm willing to bet most women don't know your cervix, which again is missing out on like cervical orgasms. If you don't know about it, then you don't get to
definitely
like have cervical orgasms, right? So yeah, explore your body, ladies. Figure it out. I love like with a lot of my coaching clients, I'll like have them take a mirror and like look at themselves, which is like one of the hardest things I feel like I give them, because there's like so much emotion within that, but you should be able to like know what it looks like, right?
Yeah, I've seen that. I think it's a weird thing to be like, oh yeah, just like take a look here and look at your
Yeah.
vagina. Even me, I'm like, I don't really know if I want to do that.
Cam.
But I guess
Report
if
back
you,
next week.
I know. I'll try it this week. Report back next week. Oh, my vagina looks like.
It is. It's funny how that like, cause you know, like you look into a mirror, to like adjust your hair or put on your makeup, and that's like no problem. So, like, why is looking at like your vulvar area like so intense? But it is, you know.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess you maybe don't get a lot of experience with it, or I think even just like knowing like a vagina is pretty or not pretty, like
Yeah.
that's always like a weird idea that
Yeah.
one is prettier than the other.
Okay, but let's be real. Nobody's genitals, male or female, are pretty. Like, does
I
anybody
agree.
think balls are pretty?
No, I totally agree.
Like, I don't know. It's all kind of funky looking, and you know, like we just that like idea of a pretty like labia and an unpretty labia is like so like who decided what was pretty and not pretty
Mm-hmm.
on our like genitals?
I agree.
Right? I don't know. It's so weird. But it is like I think the one of those things is like 90% of women need clit stimulation to like have an orgasm. And I think that's where like a lot of women think that they can't orgasm because they don't know where their clit is or like what the parts of the clit are, or like even know that you need to have clit stimulation because you like watch porn and it's all like penetration and like the chick orgasms and you know like squirts and all of these things that are not realistic, depending on the porn that you're watching, you know. So
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah. I didn't. Yeah. Those like statistics again are something that you don't really know.
Yeah.
That people don't really talk about. I think maybe it's like less and less like the stigma about it, but still.
Yeah. I do feel like we're talking about it more. Like it's becoming less taboo and easier to, I don't know, women are spreading more information. And I think like too, I feel like men are curious too because like men want to help their partners. Like it feels good for them to be able to like help their female partners have like amazing orgasms. So I feel like even now still I get like messages being like, okay, teach me like what are the parts of like where am I supposed to be touching a woman and like what am I supposed to be doing? So I think there's like more of a curiosity.
Yeah, or an ego thing too, right? Like they
Oh
want
yeah.
to be the one to please their partner.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could be definitely like an ego thing too, which is good.
Hey, I'll take it.
Being more, whatever it is to get you to know where the parts are and how to, you know. But also, I think it is like more women are talking about it, so less women are being less performative. Like we kind of talked about this before about orgasms.
Yeah.
If we don't orgasm, we're going to say it or we're going to show it.
Yeah.
So knowing that you can't like create an orgasm, maybe it's like, okay, I need to learn.
Yeah, hopefully women are starting to fake less orgasms, because that sucks. I've been there. I've faked a lot of orgasms in my life, and it just like adds bitterness and resentment to like towards your partner. I feel like, you know. But then I think like porn too is changing. I mean, you still have like, you know, like there's like the ethical porn and then non-ethical porn. And that's like such a loose statement. Like there's nobody regulating that. There's no, as far as I know at least. And there's like, you know, like what's ethical and not ethical is so dependent on like each company and each person's like definition of it. But I think
what is the difference? I don't even know what ethical and non-ethical porn is.
So the kind of the most general definition that I've heard is like ethical porn is porn that shows diversity and is inclusive. It's safe environments and pays the sex workers well. So it's a lot of like the environment and the like work conditions for sex workers as well. And then yeah, like diversity, inclusivity, and just like showing more of like the female perspective versus just like the male perspective, which is interesting. So I read this a while ago and I was like, this makes so much sense. But women tend to like lesbian porn more to like watch, not because, and that like messes with women's minds because then they like start to question their sexuality, which, you know, like maybe it does like open up yourself to broadening your definition of what you're open to. But the reason is that lesbian porn shows like female pleasure, whereas like the typical traditional male female porn tends to be more geared towards the male pleasure. And I was like, oh, that makes so much sense why like as women we're more attracted to like the woman actually getting pleasure, you know.
Right.
But yeah, there's now like there's companies that are like made by women for women. A lot of times, so ethical porn tends to be like the porn that like you have to pay for, because that's like, you know, actually good work conditions, instead of like porn that tends to be more free and less less giving and generous to like the people that are actually working in that field.
So like more like less like or predatory like companies. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering what that was. I didn't really know because you mentioned it a couple times and I was like, I've never really asked, but I was like, I should ask now.
Yeah. No, it's and that's where like, you know, porn gets such a bad rap, because it has been like in the past, it has been kind of a very predatory thing, but we are like very sensual creatures. We like visuals, we like auditory, we like, you know, like books, like romance novels are a form of porn. There's like Dipsy, which is like a erotic audiobook thing. And we do, you know, like the intention behind it, if you're watching porn because it's like fun and playful, and not like escapism, then it's like, you know, like there's nothing wrong with that. We like to read romance novels, you know, like, I mean, 50 Shades of Grey, right? Like we all loved it. So, and ethical porn tends to have like, I think a little bit more of a storyline as well too. So
okay.
Fun facts.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know that. I was like, but yeah, you know, everybody, because like the free porn websites and things like that is just so easily accessible. But how do you know, how you tell the difference between what's ethical and what's not ethical? But it's probably production value as well, right?
Yeah, production quality. Look at like the company mission statements. Like there's Belissa, which is like they make sex toys as well, but they call themselves like the Netflix of porn, but they have like a subscription. But even like if you go to their website, like their mission statement and their like info page about themselves, you know, they talk about like what they stand behind, what their purpose is. So I think like if you go to the website and you can tell a difference between like the ethical versus the non-ethical sites. But there's some like really, I think like if you Google ethical porn, there's some really great websites that come up. But the two that tend to pop to my mind are like Beleza and then Dipsy for the audiobooks.
Okay.
So
I had a question, or not a question, but I know you kind of talked about this in your class that you teach, but it was like, what do you think when you hear the word masturbation? And I really like that question.
Yeah.
I never really thought about it.
Yeah.
Like, what do I think? And I was just thinking more like self-pleasure, being in the moment, boredom, because a lot of times I do get bored.
Yeah.
But I was like, I thought it was a very interesting question because I never really thought about that word and what it means and the meaning to me
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. And I really like I heard the term solo sex a while ago. And I like that because I think like sex has a little bit more of a connotation of like intimacy and connection. And so like solo sex puts a little bit more into that because it is like that intimacy and connection within yourself. Whereas I do feel like a lot of women, when they think about masturbation or they have like a masturbation practice in their lives, for a lot of women, it is that like, can't fall asleep, so I'm gonna grab my vibrator and like help myself get to sleep, right? Like it's this like quickie technique and it's not this like intimate connection to yourself.
What does it say? What do you say? To self, what is it? What do you say? Seduce yourself. That's what you want to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like, if you don't know how to seduce yourself, if you can't be your own greatest lover, like, how are you expecting someone else to be that for you?
Right.
You have to know yourself. You have to know what you like and dislike first before you can expect somebody else to know that, you know?
So do you think there's a difference between a self-pleasure practice and masturbation, or is it all kind of one?
That's a good question. I think when I talk in my workshops and group programs, a lot of times I'll use self-pleasure practice, just because I think there's like less shame and fear and like emotion, like negative emotions with that. And it puts the focus back on like you giving yourself pleasure, you allowing yourself to receive pleasure from yourself. Whereas I feel like masturbation has like a lot of baggage within it. But at the end of the day, they're the same thing. And there's nothing wrong with like having trouble falling asleep and using a vibrator. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But like if that's the only way that you're connecting to yourself, then you are missing out on a huge part of like intimacy and connection within yourself. So like there's nothing wrong with like the quickie masturbation thing, but it is important. I at least feel like it's really an important part of knowing yourself to be able to have like a self-pleasure practice. So
I was talking to like a few gay men on like this past weekend, and we were talking about the subject that we were going to talk about. We were talking about masturbation and things like that, and I got a really good question, and I was like, I don't know, like because I don't think so, but he asked me, can masturbation replace being with a partner? And I don't think it can, but it might make sex more pleasurable, or you might get more out of sex if you masturbate more. But I don't think it can really replace a partner. I mean, depending on who you are, right? Like some people don't want to be with a partner, or don't, or very much happy with being by themselves. But I think there's a certain connection with sex and being with somebody that I don't think masturbation can really replace.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I mean it definitely is like specific to each person's preference, right? And even like the phase of life you're in. There's gonna be times where like you just want to hang out with yourself, right? But I feel like solo sex and partner sex are both very important, different types of connections. Because that solo sex is like that connection to yourself. So it's very important to have because it's connecting into who you are and taking care of yourself. It's like equivalent to taking a bath or, like working out, getting, doing some yoga, taking care of yourself. And it does make partnered sex better because when you know yourself, when you know what does give you orgasms, that makes like partnered sex way better, right? And when you're more comfortable with your body, because if you have a solo sex practice, then you're going to be a whole lot more comfortable with your body than like if you feel ashamed or like turned off by that. And then partnered sex is like a very different connection. You know, it's that we're social creatures and we do like that intimacy and connection with somebody else in our lives. So I think they're two different things. I think that you're trying to get two different connections and like needs met within that. And I mean, at the core of it, like you do have like a lot of us masturbate or like have sex because we like that like fun high. But I think like once you start to really get to know sex and get to there's this term called like sacred sexuality, which is like it is like that path and that journey into sex and like really connecting into the emotions and like what it can give you versus this like quick high. And then at that point I think it's two different things a little bit there. So
yeah.
So it depends on you.
I you know, even with like toys and everything and bringing in like you know, toys when you start masturbating and stuff, I was like thinking about, you know, and I even saw an article like how do you choose your vibrator or how do you choose a toy, and I just remember like, well, I remember I went to a sex toy party and like I got something and I was really drunk, and never go to a sex toy party drunk. And I got this huge vibrator that I didn't know anything about or want to do anything with. It was like really scary. And it was like, I don't want this. Like I woke up the next morning being like, what did I buy? What's in my purse? I was horrifying. But then I was talking to a friend and she actually like told me, she was like, oh, I got this like a little bullet vibrator or something like that. It's great. You'll love it. And she got it for me as a gift. And it was actually really awesome.
I love that she gave it to you as a gift. Like we need to get our friends like vibrators.
I actually appreciated that. I actually appreciated that. I was like, oh, okay. Like, cause I really didn't know anything about any toys or anything like that. And she was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm going to buy it for you. So yeah, I got it and it was good. And then, yeah, I just kind of like stayed similar to, you know, but I don't ever think I really like went through like research of any kind of toys. I think I've kind of stayed with the kind of same one. I was like, if it works, it works. Like I just wanted to turn on and do the same thing.
I will say, so there's some research that says that like if you get off in the same way every time, you actually train your body to only be able to get off in that way. So it is actually good to like experiment and play with different things to like keep your body confused so that it keeps it more open to like different ways of getting turned on and like having orgasms.
Really?
Yeah. But it is like, I mean, but I do think that's like really common is that like you have like your one trusty like toy that you know, and you know exactly where to put it to like have that orgasm and like move on. But I mean, that comes back to the same, like, it's kind of shameful to like, or society has told us it's shameful to like explore and experiment, right? And so like, we do still kind of get into that, like, quick, done, I know what works. Versus like giving yourself permission to like buy a bunch of different toys and play around and like, I teach like that like date night idea, like that seducing your date night idea in my workshops. And that's that idea of like, take yourself on a date night and just like, you know, hang out on your couch and like play with different things and play with different lubes and like see what your body likes. But that idea, I feel like, is such a foreign concept and like kind of terrifying for a lot of women.
Right. It's definitely true. Because I think you even said like, oh, you know, tell me to like take myself on a date and either draw a bath or do something, and I haven't done any of that yet.
Most women need like a little bit of extra, like that's where like one-on-one coaching helps because you have accountability. Whereas in a group program, you can kind of like slide underneath the radar. But yeah, I mean, even for myself, like during my journey, like it took me years to like finally take myself on that date night and be like, okay, I can just like sit here and, you know, like explore my own body, and play with different toys. But yeah, there's a lot of like emotions and like, I don't know, it's just so much easier to be like, I'm just gonna watch Netflix instead.
Right. It's like, I don't know what it is. It's just like, it's like, oh, I'm tired, or I have this, or is it like, it's easier to make excuses to not
Oh yeah.
put yourself first? Because I guess it's a way to maybe put yourself first.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's like, it's giving yourself pleasure and giving yourself permission to receive pleasure. So yeah, it is interesting that we're like make up excuses to like not take care of ourselves or like give ourselves pleasure. You know, like we don't really give ourselves excuses to like sit on a couch and like eat ice cream, right? Like that's okay. Or like take a bath is a lot easier. I think like for some women that's still hard too, but like you know, like it's a lot easier to be like, I'm gonna go take a bath. But at the end of the day, like, I mean, that's like the same thing. It's just that there's like a ton of societal messaging telling us that what we're doing is wrong.
Right.
But nobody has to know that you're doing it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like you don't have to talk about it.
Yeah. Like if it doesn't make you comfortable to talk about it, like if somebody asks you what you did last night, you can be like, I watched Netflix. Like, or like just hung out, did nothing. You know, like you don't have to be like, well, I took myself on a date night and I like tried out the womanizer and then I tried out like how my hands and my body felt and like, you know, like you don't have to tell anybody that if you don't want to. But I highly recommend trying different toys because there's like so many fun toys on the market now. And then just try your hands. Like there is like kind of a detachment, and I love toys. I think they're fantastic. But like we also are like really scared to use like our hands. And they have like that's like one of the best ways to connect into your body and get to know yourself. But for some reason that feels like almost scarier than using like a vibrator, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you don't know, if you don't know your anatomy, or it probably is a little bit harder too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. But it's a good way to learn your anatomy.
I guess that's true. I mean, yeah, I think like, I think it's, so you start with your hands and then you can kind of move into vibrator. I think that works. I think that's kind of how I, did it. But definitely a vibrator is a lot easier.
Oh, yeah. Well, and like I said, there's like nothing wrong with, if you're like lying in bed at night and you're having a hard time falling asleep, or like, I don't know, if you're like frustrated or pissed off, like sometimes it's just nice to grab a vibrator and be like, let's do this. Like, like there's nothing wrong with that. I would just encourage, like, you're missing out on a lot of fun stuff if that's like the only thing that you're doing.
Right.
I don't know. That's it. Also, now I feel like in addition to like the mirror thing, I want you to like go try out like a womanizer or something.
I know, you did send me, I think you sent me the link for it, and like do you have it, like, but I had to get your discount code too, so
I know. I'll send you those links.
All right.
There were a ton. It was International Women's Day yesterday. And I love it because now, just like the nature of my work, I'm signed up for like all of like the sex toy things and like the CBD loop stuff. And so I just got like all these text messages all day long. They were like 25% off sex toys for like International Women's Day. And I was like, this could become a very expensive day for myself.
Yeah, I love how that's what it's turned into, is like not just like a little bit of women's history, but a lot of just like marketing for sex toys.
Oh yeah, I mean all of it is, but I'll take it.
25% is a good discount though, so And it can be expensive. I think I read a lot of Cosmo, and I think this girl has kind of the best job ever on Cosmo. She like just gets paid to like try out a bunch of different sex toys, and she tried out this like $10,000 like sex toy kit that has like a bunch of different things in it. Yeah, it was like $10,000. I think it's from like Lilo or something like that.
I was gonna say, yeah. I was like, is it sad that I know exactly which one?
It was all pink.
Yeah.
Kit and everything. I was just like, $10,000, like, and it can get pricey. I think even when looking at the article about like choosing your first vibrator, they're talking about how pricey vibrators can get.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I mean, because I feel like a good vibrator is usually like in the $100 mark for a lot. That kit though is like, I mean, I think that it's got like gold on it and things like that. That makes it expensive. Like it's definitely just good marketing. Because there's like fun stuff on that kit, but it's not like $10,000 worth of like, I don't know, like
it comes in like a nice suitcase or something.
It does. It is really pretty. I will give it that. It was like on sale for $2,000 over the weekend.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
$2,000.
Okay. Yeah, you can get pretty snooty with the sex toys. But
yeah, if I get a $2,000 sex toy kit, I want to use it like every other day,
like just really use it for potential.
Get it? Yeah, I was like, get my money's worth.
No. Well, because it's a BDSM kit, I think, and so I mean, you gotta have a partner that's like willing to play and try that out with you.
She had her. I think her boyfriend did, and like they did all these things and stuff like that, and. But I was like, she's got the best job ever. Like,
that sounds like a pretty fantastic job.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way you
us.
I know. I was like, there's no way you could like send it back and be like, oh, this is great. Oh, yeah. Like, once you have it, you have it. I know. We're gonna start. We're gonna start going into reviews of different sex toys after this.
That would be amazing. Let's do it. I did. I had a company send me their CBD lube the other day. So I'm gonna try that out and let them know what I think. But I was like, oh, this is fun. I enjoy this.
Oh yeah, and I'm like, yes, I think I want to try it too.
I'll send you a bottle.
Okay, do it.
But yeah. I'm trying to think of. There's like we were going to talk about too, like the different positions that feel good in the female body. I feel like I kind of detoured us, but like kind of within that clit stimulation, like the different positions that feel good in a female body, and you're more likely to like orgasm, which is really just at the end of the day, like, do you have clit stimulation? Like in whatever position. So that's where like missionary, but like if your like partner's like scooted up a little bit, tends to like rub on that clit a little bit more, or like, any position where like you or your partner have access to like touching the clit, tends to be really good. But speaking of, this is why I thought about this, but like speaking of sex toys, there's one called like, there's like the We5. I think there's like a bunch of different ones, but it's like a C-shaped couples vibrator that you like insert, and it like touches your clit, and like you can still have like penetrative sex, but it like gets on your clit. And so that's like a really fun like sex toy to try out with like a partner, I feel like, because then you don't have to like, awkwardly try to figure out how to, because like sometimes you're like trying to figure out your arms and you're like, I cannot, like it's just going to be uncomfortable to like get anywhere near like my clit or something, I
like that visual.
It does, because sometimes it gets really awkward and you're like, this is just uncomfortable to try to like, reach this part of my body. So there are like some really great like couples vibrators out there too that obviously like female body specific, but there's some fun sex toys that you can use with your partner too.
Yeah. Do you think a lot of men would be open, or probably more open than you think when it comes to sex toys?
I think so. I feel like if you have a good relationship and good communication, it comes back to like, if your partner wants to like help you orgasm and they want to give you pleasure, they're going to be open. I'm sure there is like, I don't think it's totally abnormal for a guy to like have his ego shattered if you suggest a sex toy, but I think that's where like communication comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like explain the female body and, hopefully they're curious and open to listening to what you have to say. So it just takes good communication and making sure that, everybody wants to give each other pleasure. So I can definitely see it. Like I've definitely had clients who've had partners who were just like very anti that, but there's also usually like other stuff going on within that. Whereas like they either have a lot of like insecurity in their own, kind of within their own bodies, or they're kind of just not great partners, and like pretty self-centered in other ways within the relationship. So I think that like if you have good communication and your partner's like open and curious, like it's okay. Or like have them listen to this podcast episode and then explain to them that it's totally normal for women to need a little extra help within that.
I also think like if you say like, oh, men actually enjoy vibrations too, like it's actually enjoyable for them as well.
Yeah. That's the thing is like toys just add more fun and pleasure for like both people in a relationship. And that goes for like all types of relationships on the sexuality spectrum. Like if you add toys, there's so many different toys that you can add whichever like body that you're in. And it just adds more fun. Like give yourself permission to have fun and play and experiment. I feel like sometimes we take sex too seriously. There's like nothing serious about sex, unless you're like having sex to like make a baby. But even then, have fun with it.
Right, exactly.
Like make babies a whole lot easier when you're having fun with it. But yeah, there's nothing like life or death within like sex. So like, why not have fun and like laugh and it gets awkward and silly and goofy and bring in toys and talk about it. And I don't know, we make it way more serious and put way more pressure on it than it should. So, yeah.
You ready for the speed round?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna do speed round of different sex positions.
Okay. I love it. Do you want to start?
Yeah, missionary. Let's go basic.
Yeah, I mean, hey, sometimes you just want like good old missionary. There's a reason that it's like the most common position, because there's something like really intimate about it, right? Like you get to see like your partner's face and like get access to kissing. And it is like, I mean, I think I mentioned earlier, like missionary, especially if like your partner's up a little bit, like it does tend to rub up against that clit a little bit more, so it can be like super pleasurable for women. So
we talked about like the other week about like being vanilla and things like that, but even still, like we talk about missionary being vanilla, and even if like being considered a vanilla position where it's just like so basic, but it's still one of the better positions, even if it's really like kind of easy to do. Still, it feels really good. That's why people keep doing it.
Yeah, and I feel like it's one that like like when you get like really complex into like sex positions, sometimes you can get really into your head because you're like sitting there trying to figure out how to get into your position, or like sometimes you just want to like be chill and relax and just like have good old basic sex. It's good. Okay, so this is not really a position, but like shower sex.
I think if you have the right equipment for shower sex, shower sex is really complicated. But I know they make like little like footstools and things like that, or if you have a little like kind of step where you can kind of like be stable, it's fine. But also like depending on where the water hits, it can be really cold. So, and I'm not a huge fan of shower sex just because I think, I really like to be right underneath the water and like the heat and stuff like that. And like, I think not having the water on me and like kind of being cold when you're on the outside is, not very fun.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of those that like shower sex, beach sex, like all of those that like sound really fun in theory. And then unless you've planned it out really well, it's not actually as fun and enjoyable.
Right. It's like maybe a fountain shower, a little footstool, like stuff like that.
That's like planned out really well.
Yeah.
Well. Just take
maybe 2 shower heads, something like that. Then it would be great. If you don't have any of that stuff, no, you can leave it. Okay, doggy style.
Yeah, I mean, because that's like a great one to get into a position where like you have access with like your hands not as quite as awkward. And you do have access to like different parts, and you can do like nipple play and clip play and like all kinds of stuff. And there's something just like kind of raw and passionate about it too, I feel like.
Yeah, I think, again, another maybe like basic position, but still really great.
I mean, like, that's the thing is like the basic vanilla positions are basic positions for a reason, because like they tend to just feel good and they work well. 69.
I don't know, because like I feel like, when I'm like, giving head or something like that, I really want to be good at it. So I'm very in my head about it. So then I don't really concentrate on my pleasure when I'm trying to like, I really want to be good at like a blowjob. And I really want to get that person off, that I'm not really concentrated on, if somebody, I feel like a lot of sex is very like in your head too.
Yeah.
Like your pleasure
For
like,
women,
in your head.
Yeah.
Right. And if I'm not in the right, like if I'm, getting, eaten out or something like that, like I don't want to be in my head about it, because then I won't enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I'm trying to like give this person pleasure that I'm not really receiving the pleasure.
Yeah.
So I think it's too much. If I were not in my head too much about, oral sex and stuff like that, I think I could be enjoying.
Yeah. I feel like I'm too selfish. I mean, like the same reasons, like if I, like I'm getting pleasure, like I want to be able to just like relax and enjoy it. Yeah, because like women are like, we do have to be like in that right headspace. And then same, like if I'm, giving, like I want to be able to, like there's there's an enjoyment at like giving somebody else pleasure. And so like I selfishly want to be like fully in the moment of like giving somebody else pleasure.
Right. Like,
so I feel like I'm too selfish to like.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. I wouldn't even say it's like, it's not even a selfish thing. It's just like, I just want to make sure that, that person is.
Yeah.
If I'm concentrating on if that person is enjoying it too, that I can't really enjoy myself.
Yeah.
So my head trying to concentrate on this thing.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a bad multitasker or something.
I was gonna say, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like multitasking is not like you wouldn't sit there and do your bookkeeping while you're having sex. Like, don't multitask while you're having sex. Just be in the moment. Just enjoy. Enjoy giving and receiving pleasure.
Okay. Again, not really position, but public sex.
I don't know. I feel like I'm too much of a good girl. Like I'm just scared to like get busted and have like a record. I don't know. I like being able to like, I think that's like the same for me at least. Like I would be too much in my head on that and wouldn't be able to like totally enjoy and relax. So
yeah, I think like it's just like whenever really times that you're not like you're in public and you're not alone, you know what I mean? Like if you're an empty parking lot or something like that, then yeah, but there's not a lot of times where you're in an empty parking lot, right?
Right. You're not like secluded off somewhere.
Right.
This reminds me of a story. This is totally off topic, but we have when you like go up the side of the mountain that we live on, there's like a fire station and like a park, and there's like a little parking lot, and we were walking the dogs a while back, and in the middle of like, it was like in the middle of a weekday at like lunchtime, and we walked by and there's this car in front of the fire station by the playground with this like couple just like straight up going at it. And I'm like, you are not like, I don't know if you're having an affair or something, but if you think you're being secretive, you are not.
I mean, lunchtime is such a time where people kind of go out and walk their dogs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe we're like, you know, a weird time, like 3 p.m., maybe not.
Yeah. Like,
but again, like some people think it's so exciting. So, you know, whatever floats your boat, but
kudos to them.
Yeah.
It's a great story for us. Spooning, like the like sex position. Yeah. Not just like cuddles.
I think it's good. It also depends on, I think a lot of it has to do with anatomy too, if it's enjoyable. Yeah. I think like some guys just don't have the anatomy for it.
Yeah, that's true.
So if it's a good position if you can like, you know, figure it out for your body.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That is true, because like it's also like or can be a very deep position. So like if you do have a little bit of like pain or tension or like discomfort within your pelvic floor, it can be an uncomfortable position too. So that's absolutely like anatomy kind of both ways. Definitely part in that one for sure.
Yeah, but all for it. But yeah, you definitely have to, that one is something you do have to kind of figure out the right way to make it more pleasurable.
Yeah. But when you figure it out, I feel like it's fun because it's like intimate and again, like access to like all of the fun body parts too. So.
Okay, woman on top.
Yes. I feel like that's like kind of the same, like I know for a lot of my clients where like they do have like tension in their pelvic floors, because again it's like a super deep position. It can be really uncomfortable, but like it's a really empowering pose or position, and then like it's fun and you get to be in control. So I feel like it can be a really fun position.
Yeah, I feel like a goddess on top of it.
Like, that's how everybody should feel. Goddess. If you don't feel like a goddess on top, then you know, spend some time with yourself or get a better partner. Yeah.
Last one.
Go for it.
Wheelbarrow.
I don't even know. I should have looked this up when I saw it on here. I'm like, I don't know. Describe wheelbarrow to me. I feel like I don't.
Basically, like, yeah, like it's like you're holding somebody's legs up and the woman is like kind of down.
Okay.
So like the woman's like almost like in a handstand position.
Huh.
The guy, her legs are up, like a wheelbarrow, like you know, kind of like that concept.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I feel like that could be fun. Probably like a deep position again too, but could be fun to play with. I feel like that one you could get into your head a little bit too, just like trying to figure out position.
I think anything that like you have to like hold yourself up and like use your muscles, unless you're like, you know, super strong, not great for me.
Like a workout in.
Too concentrate on holding myself up.
Your like hands are shaking as you're like.
I know I are.
Solid point on that.
So anything that like doesn't make me like clench my muscles and use it like that I can't hold for a long time, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, solid point. Yeah, because then you're like all in your head and not relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
No. Yeah. So I like those. Little inspiration here. But let us know if there's, sex positions that you're all about, or sex toys to recommend we purchase for, or go buy a vibrator for a friend.
It's
All
always a
about
good
that.
thing.
I love that idea.
Don't know what your friend is going through, so definitely vibrators are great toys.
Yeah, they're great gifts. We should definitely give people more vibrators. All right, and then we'll be back next week.
All right. So
Bye.
exciting. See you guys. Bye.